Hey, TJ here from ADHDawareness.com, and today we are going to talk about a question that I received from a visitor, and they wanted to know, how can you tell if it's not fetal alcohol brain damage, and my teen nephew is not interested in eating at well, or interested in eating as well. So, how can you tell if it's ADHD or if it's fetal alcohol brain damage? Well, let's take a look at both of them. And ADHD, the problem with this is that it's a disorder. And what that means is that if a child or an adult has problems with attention or hyperactivity or impulsivity, if it meets the criteria, then they say, oh, this person has ADHD. So that means it's above normal of what a individual should have, and is supposed to start from childhood. But it's really taken a different turn, and I'll give you an example. To have ADHD is supposed to be something that should have been seen from childhood, but there are people that are being diagnosed with ADHD that were in car accidents and got brain damage from the car accident. And so they have brain damage, and now they are showing these different symptoms that say it's ADHD. And what I say is, yeah, these people don't really have ADHD as what it started out as what it was. This was a childhood thing, which then started finding out that it carries in through to adulthood. But let's get back to this topic. So ADHD is a disorder. If an individual has above normal attention issues, hyperactivity issues, impulsivity issues, which it could be just attention issues, or it could be hyperactivity, impulsivity, I don't remember. But anyway, so if they have these symptoms and it's above normal, then they are diagnosed with ADHD. And what most people are concerned with is, well, what's the cause of their particular situation and how's it get fixed, gets remedied. And that's where a lot of the learning comes in, because not every single individual is going to have the same the same causes of the overactive symptoms. Like I mentioned, that a person that was in a car accident that had brain damage, well, their cause is an injury. While what I say, the majority of people with ADHD has a lot of other issues, and I cover that in the three causes of ADHD symptoms. And you can find out about that on the website. Just pop over there real quick. Let me see. I need to put that in a more prominent place, but it's over here on the nav bar. If you go to causes, then you can start to learn about that. Yeah, so I need to make that just more readily available. Now let's talk about fetal alcohol syndrome. So why would someone be confused as to which one it could be? Well, fetal alcohol syndrome has the individual can have mental retardation. But look at this, they can also have hyperactivity, which is also a symptom of ADHD. They could be impulsive. Well, guess what? That's also a symptom of ADHD. They have poor motor skills. So that's depending on how bad the ADHD is. It could be moving closer up the spectrum to autism or Asperger's. So that could be potentially something that is a symptom of ADHD, depending on how bad it is. But then that starts moving into some other issues. Memory issues, fetal alcohol syndrome. Well, guess what? ADHD, memory issues. Poor judgment. Well, guess what? ADHD. And distractibility, ADHD. So it could be, if someone wanted to, they could diagnose a person with fetal alcohol syndrome and say, yeah, they have ADHD. When this is all part of the underdeveloped or the brain damage of a child with fetal alcohol syndrome. The damage came from the parents' abuse. Now, mental retardation, not so much with ADHD. So this would, if the child has mental retardation, it's definitely going to lean towards its fetal alcohol syndrome and not ADHD. Growth retardation, so not an issue as much with ADHD, except for those that are on the stimulant medications. Parents have seen that their child, because they're on the stimulants, that they don't eat as much because they're not as hungry. And I've had parents say that they took their child off the medication, they got their appetite back, and they actually started growing. So this isn't a symptom of ADHD, but this can be a byproduct of the medication. And I'm big on helping people without the need for medication. And like I always say, it's your decision on what you want to do. So facial features. Now this is a dead giveaway for fetal alcohol syndrome. We've got the ADHD symptoms. We've got the mental retardation. We've got the growth retardation. But it's the facial features that would really set this apart from if it's just ADHD. So they got small eyes, drooping upper lid, short upturned nose, flattened cheek, small jaw. So these are definitely fetal alcohol syndrome related issues that you're not really going to find in ADHD. So how do you tell if it's not? Well, if this child has been diagnosed with fetal alcohol brain damage, then most likely it's going to be brain damage. And I know the medical industry loves to medicate people that have been damaged. And if at all possible, I say to help a person with their damage, help to bring healing and to the biggest degree possible. And I say this a lot, but to me, this is like a person, say they broke a bone in their body and they can't use their limb, their arm. So like they broke their arm, they've got to be in a cast. Now, should we say, oh, this person, they can't use their arm, we need to give them medication to see if we can get their arm working right? No, I think that just sounds ridiculous and absurd. And the thing is to try to get that person's arm back to full healing, to where it can heal itself. And some people laugh at me when I say that because they think that is absurd to even suggest that ADHD or something like that is just damage. But I don't really care because I care about helping people, and that's what I do. And so for me, drugs just do more damage than they do good. And what about a person if they shattered their arm, or what if they lost the arm? They can't use it anymore. Well, that arm is gone. That's an injury. That's a byproduct of an injury, whether it was their fault or someone else's fault. And that's something that they have to live with. And there are inventors that try to make things easier for them. Give them the fake arms and legs and things like that to help them to still try to be able to do things they used to be able to do. And will that person's arm ever grow back? It's not very likely that it will. I'm not really sure that I've ever heard of someone get their arm back. So to medicate them and say, oh, we're going to medicate you and try to make you get your your full use of your arm, I just think that's ridiculous. But now, what about the nephew's not eating well? Well, this can create even more symptoms. So a poor diet, the loading up on carbs is not good. It causes a lot of these issues we see over here with ADHD. Even can create a situation where candida is out of control and taken over the body, and Candida has a lot of these same symptoms that people with ADHD have, which a lot of people with ADHD most likely have a Candida overgrowth. So not eating well means a poorly functioning body because the body is not receiving the nutrition it needs. And not only is it not receiving the good nutrition, it's receiving bad nutrition, which means the body's going to function worse. This also means that the body is most likely going to get toxins and possibly heavy metals and chemicals and antibiotics and steroids and just all sorts of things that are really going to bog down the body and make it to where it's not going to function well. So if there is a child, an adult with fetal alcohol brain damage, the absolute best thing to do is to work on getting them to improve their diet, to eat better. And if it's slow at doing that, then going slow and improving is better than never improving. You can transition to better foods. Go to the more organic foods, non-GMO foods. Natural foods, natural just means nothing. It absolutely means nothing at all. I could sell you something that was completely fake and synthetic and say it was natural. That's what people do. And so inside of the 3 causes of um, out of control ADHD symptoms, or I also say 3 causes of ADHD or 3 causes of ADHD symptoms. Inside that, I interviewed Deborah Merlin and we talked about how to transition from a diet that's not so good to at least eating better, even if it's the same exact thing that they're eating, but just eating better quality of that. So that's my take on the fetal alcohol syndrome and brain damage that happens in, is it ADHD or is it fetal alcohol syndrome? So as we see that they are very similar. And if you want to learn more about ADHD, make sure that you visit ADHDawareness.com. And also if you visit my site and you are looking for information about natural supplements and what do I take, what do I recommend my family take, what does my wife take, and what do I recommend others take, you just visit, and at the top you'll see natural supplements. Maybe at some point this site might look different, but look for something about supplements or natural supplements, vitamins or minerals, something like that, and you just visit there. And what you'll do is you'll be able to come here and create your free account. And I have this behind a membership site, and you'll be able to, it's a free course on what supplements that you should take. There's liquid because people with messed up digestive systems, especially people with ADHD, should focus more on liquid just because that's going to be the most effective help. But not every single product is available in liquid. Like for example, hydrochloric acid, which helps digest proteins, that's not available in a liquid just because of the acidity of it will just be destructive to the like the mouth, the esophagus. So that comes in pills to make sure it gets to the stomach where it's released. So if you want a free course on ADHD, I'm sorry, not ADHD, but on supplements and things that I recommend for having a healthy body and ADHD, make sure you check this out.